those conversations like you need to. It's explicit conversation. So much of what we think about in terms of money is implied. A lot of it, we don't even think about how and why we come up with our conclusions about money. We don't even have these explicit conversations with each other. So the central problem is communication, and it is expressed in conflict with money, conflict with all sorts of expectations that you have in relationships. And part of it comes from the fact that people just aren't having the right conversations. They're not, when they are expressing how they feel and what they think, people aren't interpreting it correctly. And there's so much that gets gobbled up where people aren't able to have really good conversations where you're fleshing out all of the details of how you want your business to operate. How do you want your family to operate, and having those expectations that are in you that's implied, making it explicit. And areas where you disagree, that's where you pause and you say, okay, here's a disagreement. Let's detangle that and let's find out where you're coming from, not to convince another person to be a duplicate of you, but to try to get a better understanding of where somebody's coming from. And that's the hallmark of a good relationship, healthy relationships. And so when it becomes awry and things run amok, and you just like disregarding people's perspective and where they're coming from, that's where you have issues. Money is a sore spot. So of course, that's going to be a place that's so emotionally charged. It's an emotionally charged topic anyway. And, you know, that's where disagreements happen. And some people can never recover from it. And hopefully what we presented is a really good objective path of which people can use in their families, in their businesses, amongst task groups. However you sit down and talk about how you're going to plan your business, how you're going to plan your life, you know, it's a great template for that.
Okay, well, with that said, let's go with the template and kind of look at. I'm going to let you take a big part of the lead here in terms of the topic, and what I'll do is I'll kind of get in where I fit in on the areas that I think I can make a contribution. But you know, you're the therapist, and I think that it's best to kind of start with that. So you laid out, you know, a whole series of topics that we would cover over the past 6 weeks. Anybody who wants to see all the recordings and everything else, you can go to theloveandmoneylab.com and use the code word Black Love 2024. That'll give you a big chunk off of the lifetime access fee. So it's theloveandmoneylab.com. And also, in case you don't know, in case this is your first week, Dr. Alicia, the reason that she's passionate about this topic is because she's a therapist. She's a licensed therapist, but she trains other therapists. That's how good she is. And my doctorate's in finance. So we figured that blending love and money together in this way would help some people. And speaking of the blend, the last topic you have listed here that I'm looking at, I have it right in front of me, is you talk about just that blending of love and money, blending relationships and money. So I'm going to read a statement that you wrote on this slide, and I'm going to let you address it first, and then I'll just fill in the void in terms of anything that I see that might need to be said. So you say here that blending relationships with financial management requires a delicate balance, emphasizing transparency, respect, and shared values. Transparency, respect, and shared values. Um, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think having open discussions, particularly about money matters, and grounding those discussions in mutual understanding, I think it was a great opportunity to strengthen the relationships. Um, and and I think it's also critical to just recognize and respect everybody's point of view, right? And so transparency is just saying, okay, let me tell you what's going on with the business and the money. And I'm a little embarrassed by this, talking about your feelings too, but I invested in this and it didn't go the way I wanted to, but this is what I learned. How can you help me move forward? It's just having those kind of sticky conversations, and it creates an atmosphere of respect where you feel more comfortable opening up and sharing stories that's uncomfortable. And that's in seeing it in a way where here's where I used to be, but this is what I've learned from it, even though I made these mistakes. And this is how I want to take it forward. I want to correct things. So you always want to be in a position where you're being transparent, and things that could be embarrassing to you, you want to be in partnership with someone that's going to see that as a strength. Okay, nobody's perfect. None of us are perfect. Let's try to figure out how we can go forward, given the lessons you learned. So the respect and the shared values in particular is so important, because somebody could be just out in left field and you start to realize, okay, we don't have a shared value. Can we overcome this, or should I go in a different direction? And it happens all the time. You have business relationships with people, and you connect with each other, and then when the time is done, you say goodbye to those business relationships sometimes, and it's no hard feelings. We still good, but it's just time for sometimes businesses to grow and to go in a different direction, depending on the mission and the goal of the company or the endeavor. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So,
Well, you want to add to that?
yeah, well, what I would add to that is I like to drill in on certain words and really meditate on the word. As you all know, we do financial consciousness training every morning, and I believe consciousness is awareness, and awareness can come through just sitting there thinking about stuff. So I drill in on the words, right? So blend in relationships with financial management. So I'm thinking about that word blend, and blend comes down to like whether you have synergies, complementarities. Does one add to the other? Does one take away from the other? And when you think about the three things that determine a happy life, you've got health, wealth, and relationships. Those are the three things that I believe are critical to a happy life: mental and physical health, healthy relationships with people that you care about, and then also financial security, which tends to come from having the possession of both income and assets, cash flow and assets, right? And so does so to me, a good measuring stick, and I think most people miss this. I think a lot of people don't even think about this, is that because your consciousness is lower when you start dating, because you're becoming more instinctual and primordial, and you're looking at what somebody looks like and how they smell and how they sound and everything else. And so you're not necessarily doing the conscious exercise of saying, is this relationship going to help me financially, or is it going to hurt me? It or my is or is or Our financial habits going to help or hurt the relationship? And I think that it's also a conversation that doesn't happen appropriately, because a lot of people consider it to be just taboo. I don't think it's taboo though to want what you want and to be clear about what's going to make you feel good about your life. So if feeling good about your life means I need somebody that's going to make a certain amount of money, I think it's okay to be honest with yourself, as long as you're honest about the trade-off and the fact that if you have too many items on your list, you're going to knock a lot of good people off that list. But that requires reflection and meditation on, like, who are you? What do you want? What's going to make you happy? Because you see so many people, and you see it all over the internet, people complaining about dating and how hard it is to date, and people being cheap, or people being gold diggers, and being confused. Like, well, who should do what? Who's supposed to pay for this? Who's supposed to pay for that? How much, should we go 50-50 or not? Is it okay to expect this and expect that? Well, all of it's okay and all of it's not okay, meaning that every relationship is an individual negotiation. And I think just really being clear about sort of where you stand and what makes sense for you is really important, because if you do it wrong and you don't think it through, you can end up in a really tight spot, you know? So I like what you said, transparency, respect, and shared values, right? You got to think the same way. If you're a big spender and she is a saver, that could be a problem. If you are a big visionary and you have a big vision for the future, and his vision, it doesn't exist, that's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
If
I
you're
also think,
if you don't like risk and they love risk, then that could be a problem. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, but difference is a beauty. And you complement each other. It all depends on your approach, because there's no perfect anything. It's your approach to it. It's
Hmm.
saying, oh my God, I'm such a saver. Savers are kind of misers a little bit, they like, and you need a miser spirit in the family, right? But spenders are so fun. They're fun to be around. So you need to have that fun. And see, I think that's where the respect part is so important. It's just like, okay, that's the spender. So we're going to do a little bit of spending here, because that's what brings joy and fun to the relationship. But you can't have two spenders together. You're going dead. It would be really terrible. So I love the compliment. I think we get so much in our head about we all got to be the same, and I don't think that's necessary to be the same. The thing is that you can't have people of the same qualities coming together. How are you going to grow and learn? You grow and learn through differences. And if you don't have shared value in a lot of ways, maybe on an unconscious level, you pick the very person to help you grow in that way. So and I think growth needs to be like the biggest thing, because when you enter into a relationship, especially a business relationship or a marriage or a family, and you're with all these personalities and all of these different approaches, and it can get chaotic sometimes, but you need to be able to sit and think about, what is this person teaching me? And so many people aren't willing to grow in any way. And I think being like stuck in your ways and not being open to grow and to hear and to talk and to discuss, that's where it goes back. There's the worst part of a business is when you get groupthink. Like, you always want somebody on your team that's not going to like anything anybody says. You want someone to be like, this is the dumbest idea I ever heard. You want dissension. Because everybody thinking the same way, you're not going to have a good product. You're not going to have a good launch. You don't have the best launch. You don't have the best end result if everybody is thinking the same. You want dissenting voices. It was a book I read, God, a couple of years ago. Remember, I was reading all those business books back in the day, Boyce? And it was the book about, I don't have it off the top of my head, but it was the book about the glasses company, original thinkers. Yeah, like the glass, what is that, Warburg, who wore those glasses, those online glasses. Y'all, somebody put it in the chat. It's a company that was tanked, that nobody wanted to invest in, but they had Warby Parker. Yes, thank you, Chelsea. Warby Parker. It was a book that explained their business model and how like nobody liked it. And it was all this, and they were talking about, long story short, they talked about how this business became successful. And it was because one of the reasons was because they had dissenting views, and they listened to all of the people, the pitfalls, all of the possible areas that they may be overlooking. And with that sort of model in their infrastructure, in their business, they were able to be very successful. So there's all sorts of business, what is it called? Business stories, or, scenarios where they emphasize,
like case studies.
Where they emphasize, hey, look how this business got successful, how they overcame it. And businesses who tanked, what happened? What did they miss? And a lot of times they miss dissenting points of view. The person in charge, no one challenges the person in charge. And they were telling CEOs, you need to purposely pick people on your team that's going to challenge you. Anyway.
Well, yeah, I do agree with that. I think it's a balance, right? Because
Yeah.
if everybody's always disagreeing constantly, then you never agree on anything. It's like if we get in a car, somebody has to be the driver, and there could be a conversation, a healthy conversation about where you want to go, diversity of perspective. I think we should go to the mall. I think we should drive to the amusement park, whatever. But once you get together as a team and decide you want to drive to a location, there can't be any dissension at that point, because then you're going to wreck the car. If somebody just grabs the steering wheel and says, I'm going to drive us south, and what, say it again?
It's how you get to it. Do you take the highway? Do you take the back roads? Is there construction? Just making sure it's the way in which you get to it that's the most efficient way. And I think that's what that entire book was about. I have to think about the name of the book, But it was amazing, amazing book. I learned a lot reading about how important it is to not to see differences of opinion as a strength.
Yeah, I think that dissension and differences of opinion can be good, but I think that there is a point, like the United States, we got too much difference of opinion. We have too much back and forth, and no one agreeing. Democrats can't agree with Republicans, and that creates an environment where there's limited compromise and nothing gets done. I know that the reason I thought about this heavily is because when I was trying to finish my dissertation, I remember there was dissension and it kept my dissertation from getting done. And what I remember having to observe is I said, I got these four guys on my dissertation committee. These two guys are both powerful head dogs. They're both alphas and they're going to go back and forth. I don't want two alpha dogs fighting for supremacy. So I got rid of one of them so there could be one alpha, and I knew that the others were going to be betas and go along with the alpha. The head was going to lead the body right out the door, and that's what So I really would say, in general, I don't think there's a clear answer in terms of whether or not it's better to have a
According
relationship
to that
where,
book,
right,
according to those case studies, that's what they were saying. The difference between a successful company and an unsuccessful company that didn't see it coming
Mhm.
was to have a dissenting voice. Now, you mentioned something really important, and that was compromise. Compromise
right.
is so important because it's like listening to everybody. Okay, everybody's important, everybody matters. Now let's figure out how we can compromise. And sometimes in that compromise, you end up with a better product, a better relationship, a better method of doing something, how to get there, the most efficient way, the compromise. So that was beautiful. You brought up compromise.
Yeah, and the thing about dissension is I don't think there's a one size fits all answer. For some people, they may say, look, I just want somebody where we have the same values because we're both like if I'm trying to get to the Olympics and I want to marry another Olympic athlete where we both agree that the sacrifice to get to the Olympics is worth it, then that might be better than saying like, okay, I want to marry somebody who's fat, who wants to sit on the couch and eat potato chips all day, who's going to question why I'm going to the gym and why I felt the need to work out for 7 hours when I could have worked out for two. That may not be what I'm looking for, right? I think so. I think it kind of depends on the individual. And you are right though. I think that getting other perspectives does make you smarter. I think that if, for example, I wish we had a country where Democrats and Republicans would all talk to each other instead of talking about each other. I think our country would be a better place. And one example that I was thinking about, to your point about dissension and whether it can be good or bad, I think there's always a tipping point in that. Is right now Disney, for example, lost $50 billion or something. Was it 50 billion or no? Maybe it was less. Maybe like 10 billion. But they lost billions of dollars recently because they had dissension in the ranks. They had a guy named Nelson Peltz who was looking at what Bob Iger and the company was doing the last 5 years, and he said, "This is a bunch of crap. You're depleting shareholder value. You need new people on the board. We need to overhaul this whole thing." So they spent a lot of money, both sides fighting for power. And Disney as a company was losing. Disney was getting weaker because of this. So once they completed the fight, when they got done, Bob Iger won the battle. He got Nelson Peltz out of the way. They squashed him. They did the vote. It was over. The analyst said now Disney stock went up because now that you're done disagreeing with each other, you can get behind one united approach.
Beautiful idea. Yeah.
Yeah, you're on one page, and this is really the way presidential elections are supposed to go. We're all supposed to get together and argue over who's better, Democrat, Republican, whatever, and then when the president takes over, everybody gets behind the president. But we don't have a country like that. We have a country where where half the country refuses to accept the results of the election. So like right now, we had all January 6th and everything else with people saying that the election was illegitimate. Well, I guarantee you that if Trump gets elected, there's going to be half the country that says our president's a criminal and I'm not going to support him. I refuse to acknowledge him. And anybody remember when Obama got elected? You had half the country that was like, I'm not taking orders from that guy. That's not my president. And I hate that. Every time I see that, it bothers me. Because they started doing it with Obama, but then when Trump was in office, there were people doing it on the other side, and I never thought it was okay. It's like, look, if you're in this country, there's a point you're going to put your sword down and make a united front. So I think the same thing is true with a family. What after you finish disagreeing, you can't do that forever because you're going to spend so much time arguing that you're not going to make progress.
Yeah,
So
and
that's my belief on that.
and when people refuse to budge and compromise, you just get nowhere. And I think that's a beautiful point you made. That's
Yes.
beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. And you're a beautiful woman and a smart woman too. All right. So let me move to the next point. Determining one's money collaboration style is a crucial step. These are your words. Determining one's money management style is a crucial step toward effective collaboration, whether within families or businesses. What would you,
Huh.
do you have any thoughts about your statement on that?
I talked about effective collaboration. Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think determining what read that again. You don't have to slide, pull it up so I can
You
see
said
it.
you said that
What did I
determining
say?
I'm gonna read it. It's determining one's money management style is a crucial step. Here, I'll share the screen. Hold on.
Share the screen so I can see. I'm a
Okay.
visual learner, not an auditory learner.
All right. So I'm gonna highlight it right here. This is what you wrote. You wrote this. These are your words, ma'am.
Yes.
Determining one's money management style is a crucial step toward effective collaboration, whether within families or businesses.
Ah, yeah. So now I see. I'm visual learner. Yeah. So this is a great way to blend, to get to know someone in trying to find out their money management style. And there's all sorts of things you can take, quizzes or whatever you can take online where you can have conversations. The My Financial Anxiety book has a bunch of quizzes on there about your money style. Oh, the course that we taught together on blended families, there's a couple of chapters on money where you get to know each other's money management style and how to manage your finances, families coming together, how to do that. So there's a bunch of different ways. And you could just go online and search and have conversations, getting to know. That's how you blend. Blend is getting to know, and having this collaborative approach where everybody feels valued and everybody contributes to financial success. So, I love doing vision boards. I used to do vision boards all the time, Boyce. You don't know this about me. I used to, you didn't want to, well, I go through phases, y'all. I went through a phase where I was doing vision boards every year or several times a year. I would do vision boards. And so you want to, use that as an opportunity to have a shared vision, and have money included in that, as a family. And I think often difficult conversations about money, you can talk about those things and bring it into a deeper connection and mutual growth when you have these conversations and get to know each other in that way. Yes.
Okay. All right. So the next thing that you stated here, I don't have anything to say in response to that.
You don't.
You
Okay.
said, remember through the lens of financial collaboration, turn
Collab-
potential conflict areas into opportunities for strengthening bonds and achieving shared financial well-being. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on the screen so you can read
Don't
it.
put it on the screen.
And I'm going to read it again slowly. So you
Yeah.
said, remember through the lens of financial collaboration, turn potential
Yes.
conflicts in conflict into areas, sorry, conflict areas into opportunities for strengthening bonds and achieving shared financial well-being. So through
Yeah, we've been
collaboration,
talking about that.
okay, go ahead.
We've been kind of talking about that. Effective way to blend relationships and money is to have these conversations, initiate them around finances, open, honest, non-judgmental, having regular conversations. We've been talking about this all, for the past couple of weeks. Joint budgeting, creating a unified budget, collective income and expenses. It encourage any system in place where it encourages shared responsibilities. We work together all the time for money, with money. We're moving money from one checking account to the other. And we do a lot of money moves, Boyce, together. We're like shifting things around all the time, investing and pulling out of investments. And we have conversations all day long, really, about what we're doing, our goals, what we're up to. And a lot of every time we leave the house, we spending money on something. It's just like, I don't want to go anywhere today because I don't want to spend money on anything. So, we have regular conversations. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, well, I think that that is something that I did learn from kind of observing what when you introduced me to Gottman principles on relationships and all that, is how conflict can be turned into an opportunity to strengthen the bond. You mentioned here that conflict areas can be opportunities to make people stronger in terms of the connection.
Absolutely.
You just have to overcome the conflict, right? And I think that gave me a different perspective on conflict, because I've always thought of conflict as pretty negative and destructive, right? A harmful thing. But as you seem to believe, avoiding conflict can be very negative, because
Yeah.
maybe you have these things, these feelings that you're holding up on the inside that you don't never ever address, and that could be just as bad. Is that accurate?
Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate. There's so many people who are afraid of conflict. And it's because for whatever reason, their association with differences was frightening for them. It could be like when they were growing up, they always saw conflict as a way of ending relationships and argument and yelling and very unpleasant things. And so that's why I always like to demonstrate for my children every time there's a conflict. I want to say, hey, we saw things differently. Let's all get together and talk about what happened, because we're a family. And, and let's share how we felt, what went on, and come up with a better way of getting to know each other. So on the other side of conflict, which is inevitable, is closeness, learning about each other even more. And I think as parents, we set the tone for how our children handle conflict, the inevitable conflict that you are going to experience in every relationship, because there's no such thing as a perfect relationship. No such thing as perfect. Your relationship with your parents growing up, it can't be perfect. If it was perfect, you never would have left the house. Clearly, they put some pressure on you to make you want to be like, see ya later, right? So that in and of itself, the fact that you left, everybody leaves to get your own independence, all of that is rooted in some sort of conflict.
Mm,
Let me
interesting.
try to figure this out. I got to grow. So the whole thing with going out and launching your whole life outside of your parents is so that you can grow. You have this embedded in us to be independent.
Okay, so you're
Yeah.
saying conflict tends to lead to growth, and you just have
It
to process
always leads to
conflict the
growth and
right way.
understanding. That's how we need
Okay.
to shift the way we think about it. Conflict means growth, understanding, clarity. Something isn't quite right. That means something needs to change.
Okay.
Yeah, that's how
All right.
people discover epiphanies and stuff. They're like, you know what? I had this experience and something didn't quite seem right. And I had to think about it for a long time. And I realized I was going in the wrong direction. I realized I was angry about this. Anger tells you something needs to change. Anger is a great thing. But people are scared of anger too. I could go on and on about this, but
Mm.
people are afraid of anger. But anger is a wonderful, motivating emotion. It can get you to do things. Anger got you of not getting tenure at Syracuse. Anger got you to start your own business, Boyce. Like, it is the most beautiful thing. It's beautiful. It's infuriating to be rejected the way you were. I mean, you're smiling now, but you thank them for not giving you tenure. That was the best thing they could have ever done for you. You would have been, motivate you to go and do your own thing. And look at how many people you've affected. So yeah,
So it's a blessing to be an angry black
it
man.
is a blessing. Be an angry black man.
All right. So let me go ahead and let everybody know that if you want to take a look, in case you guys don't know, Dr. Alicia has a whole section in the bookstore with a lot of her workbooks and stuff like that. And in case you don't know where the store is, it's drboycebooks.com. And drboycebooks.com is a one-stop shop for Black wealth mastery. This is where families from all over the country all over the world actually go to get stuff that you really can't get anywhere else. And we have stuff for the whole family. We have flashcards for your kids. Of course, you have my books, The Ten Commandments of Black Economic Power, stuff like that. We have books like Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson, and we have a whole section on love and money. And this is really for couples and families and anybody that wants to have a smart relationship. And so if you come here to drboycebooks.com, you click shop now, then what will happen is you will see a whole bunch of really powerful tools that Dr. Alicia put together. This is based on research, based on science. We have this bundle pack here where you can actually get my book, Financial Lovemaking, but a lot of her workbooks on drama-free relationships, drama-free families, drama-free marriages, things like that. That's there. We got this power couple bundle that you can explore. There are the Black Sheekonomics. There's a lot of good stuff in here that you can feel free to go and take a look at. And also write this code down. If you use the code word book club, you can get an additional 30% off in addition to whatever discounts there. So the Drama Free Life Mastery Series by Dr. Alicia, I think is a great choice because the regular price is $129. It's been cut in half at $67.58. And if you use the code word book club, you can actually get another 30% off the 50%. So literally, we're making it as affordable to anybody that, it's affordable to anyone that wants to dig into some of these tools and workbooks that Dr. Alicia has put together. I'll put the link in the chat for you guys if you want to take a look at that. And I think you're gonna like what you see. These are really good tools that we put together for you guys. So all right, so what I want to do is uh so babe, I want to talk to you about this thing that you're referencing in your notes. I'm looking at your notes that you sent me for today's conversation, and you wrote a couple of case studies up, and I'm going to read the story and try to summarize it, and then kind of give your assessment on this. And here's what you said. So you wrote about this family called the Thompson family, and in this case study, this is a love money kind of blend. So I'm going to put it on the screen and read it. You said, despite their progress toward financial harmony, the Thompson family encouraged a new financial dilemma, or they encountered a new financial dilemma, balancing the budget to send two teenagers to college while caring for their elderly parents who required increasing levels of financial and non-financial obligations. The challenge lay in allocating funds efficiently with compromising on the quality of education of their children and how to care for their parents. The big question you ask is how can the Thompson family create a sustainable financial plan that addresses both the educational needs of their teenagers and the health care requirements of their elderly parents without jeopardizing their own retirement savings? Another question you list here is considering the potential long-term financial impact, what strategies can the Thompson family implement to ensure that they remain on track with their financial goals while adapting to evolving family needs and external economic factors? Did you want to start with that one?
Well, I mean, yeah, I'm just posing this scenario about situations that I see in my office and people that I know, they discover they have children, the children are teenagers, and at that point, their parents are aging. And I do some work with, I contract work with a hospice company, and I see this happen all the time where families are saying, hey, I am so concerned about the care of my parents. And by the way, putting them in a home is like $12,000 to $15,000 a month, a decent home for your parents if they have to go into a home. If they stay in your house, you have to have nurses and people to come and wash them up and take their vitals. I mean, there's like really serious things that you have to do when you have parents who have health issues. And it falls on you as children, to address this. And depending on the financial decisions that your parents made, will have an impact on what you're going to be. I'm going to call it a burden because it is a burden, your time, your energy, and particularly your money, because it is expensive to pay for a nurse to come and care for, if they're in your home, to care for, if you have space in your home to care for your parents or parent, whoever is having. And sometimes you got four parents with two couples that are two individuals together. You got four parents. So there's four opportunities for it to fall on you and your siblings, to care for it. So, that's something to think about because you have your own responsibilities. You could have children who are in college and they need financial support nowadays. Now, like I went to college in the 90s, there was money all over the place. It isn't like that today. You know, it doesn't stretch, it doesn't go as far as it used to. We used to get our little, you remember that boys? We used to get our check in college. We get our check, we'd be like, we were up in the money. It's not like that anymore. You know, college is expensive. So it's a typical scenario that families face. And I think, I don't know, there's no solutions, but I mean, you definitely are going to have to look for external resources, don't you think, Boyce? Financial assistance
Mhm.
in some way, scholarships, grants, community support for elder care. And you got to come up with a budgeting strategy to kind of alleviate pressures. I mean,
Mhm.
what do you think? What would you
Yeah.
talk to this family about?
Yeah, from a financial standpoint, what I see is that this couple, this family you described, they've kind of run into two of the biggest financial bears that exist in the economy. There are two things that you can't afford to do in America anymore, and one is get sick, and the other one is go to college. You can't afford to do those things under the weight of your own finances. It's now getting to the point where college, there are lots of universities now that are going to start charging over $100,000 a year just for tuition, or definitely for tuition, room, board, and books all added together. I think Syracuse is approaching 100,000 a year, where I used to teach. And then also healthcare costs are kind of insane. This is all due to capitalism. It's crazy because you spend so much on American healthcare, but you're not getting superior quality healthcare. You're getting kind of this mediocre stuff. And so long story short, these are two challenges a lot of families are running into. Also, this family, as you describe them, they're part of what you call the sandwich generation. The sandwich generation is typically families where the parents, the heads of households, are between, say, 45 and let's say 60 or 55, and you've got your sandwiched. You've got on beneath you, you've got kids young enough to still need your financial support. And then you've got parents that are old enough to need your financial support. So you're sandwiched with that pressure of having to provide up here and provide down here. So you're fighting a battle on two fronts. And those battles are big battles because the battle below is the educational battle in many cases. The battle above is the healthcare battle. So you're fighting two big beasts at the same time. It's very, very stressful. So a couple of quick thoughts on that from a preventative standpoint, this is why it's extremely important for any Black person that wants to be successful financially, any person, period, not just, this isn't just for Black people, but I'm always talk about Black people first, and I'll never apologize for that. It's very important for you to really think about how family structure and the productivity of your family fits into your long-term plan. There are a lot of people that don't even plan this stuff. They don't think about this. You know, you living your best life in your 20s and you just dating the prettiest girl and letting all, you know, getting with these men that can't add any value to your life long term. And then you hit that sandwich spot, and then you know mom starts getting older, and daddy needs this, and the kids need that, and it's hard to do all that by yourself. You know, I'm right in the sandwich generation. I got elderly parents. We both have elderly parents that need our help, and then we both have kids in the house that need our help. And it does help that my wife is a teammate. I have a partner that can help me get some of this done, and it would be harder for one of us to do it by ourselves. Okay, so you got to really when people talk about Planned Parenthood and all that, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the other stuff. I'm talking about planning this stuff. You got to have a plan. But
Plan.
but you know, and then the other piece, and even part of the plan. Just let's finish on the preventative aspect of it. Even your health, even that those little decisions like going to the gym and thinking about what you eat is important as well, because if you don't make those choices, you know, in a healthy way when you're young, then those healthcare costs start to skyrocket later on down the line. Also, things like college for the kids. You know, there are what do they call it, 529 plans and things like that, where you can put that money to the side in little increments when they're young, so you don't get hit with a massive bill when they get to college age. Like the $5 a day plan can help with that. So another thing too is we got to be more creative when we think about economic success. Sorry, when we think about economic success and retirement, being creative is essential. You know, if you don't have the money that you want to have, then cohabitating is a great idea. There's nothing wrong with kids living with the parents. or living at home, even in their 20s, if they are a productive member of the household. If they're sitting there and they're just another welfare recipient, then that's not going to work. But if you got a kid in the house and they're helping out around the house, maybe they're bringing some money in and chipping in on the bills or whatever, or you're helping them out as well because they can save money to be able to buy a house at some point. Everybody can win in that scenario, but everybody has to be productive. I write about this extensively in my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. You can get a copy at drboycebooks.com. The other piece is with the parents and the senior citizens. Two thoughts come to mind. Again, number one, the whole cohabitating piece. We've done that for a long time where we've had our parents come live with us and all that. That saves a lot of money because we don't tend to put our people in nursing homes as much as everyone else does. And then the other piece to that too is when you're looking at the world from the perspective of the parent or the grandparent, how you raise your kids is an investment in your future. If you don't raise your kids properly and you don't give them the time that they deserve and you don't pour into them, then guess what? When you get older, they're not going to pour into you. They're not going to be there for you. They're not going to come help you, not take care of you. The number one reason that I take care of my father like he's my biological dad is because he raised me like I was his biological son. So whenever he thanks me profusely for all the things that I'm willing to do for him, and my wife knows I'll do anything for my parents. Whenever he thanks me, I say, no, this is just your ROI. This was part of your retirement plan. You just didn't know it. So just know that your when we talk about words like save and invest in this space, we're going bigger and broader than almost anyone else. No, everyone else is just talking about money. No, I'm talking about the things that are more valuable than money. I'm done. Go ahead.
Yeah, I love what you're saying. And two things I want to comment on. I was watching this documentary on Netflix about blue zones in the world where people overwhelmingly live to be 100 years old. And one of the number one factors in living to be 100 was elders lived in the house with their children. They live in the house with their children. They help take care of the grandchildren. They have their own quarters, of course, but they have this interaction with people. And so that makes people more healthy. This man, he got a terminal illness. He lived in the United States. He had a terminal illness. They gave him 3 months to live. He packed his stuff up and said, you know what? He moved to one of those blue zones. This man lived to be many, many years old. Like he overcame his terminal illness just by changing his environment to something that's way more healthy. And I mean, and part of that is the communal living, having contact with people and living a really full life. That's one of the points I wanted to make, was that check out that Netflix documentary on how to live to be 100, and you'll see that elders aren't just people to push to the corner. They're people that you can learn from and have a lot of wisdom. And not only does it help the whole family, but it also helps them to be younger and healthier, right? So that was the first thing. Yeah, I love what you're saying, Boyce. You're talking about long-term financial strategies. I'm working with that hospice contract. I make sure I put money in my disability account, my health savings account, because when I get older, I don't want to be, I don't want, like, I love that you help your parents, and I definitely encourage it. And if any of them want to come live with us, they can. I'd be more than happy to bring them in. The more the merrier. I put them to work, right? But the thing is that, long-term strategies, you need to be thinking about these things. What's life going to look like for you when you retire? And if you get sick, what is it going to look like? And I do see people in hospice who have made wonderful decisions, and they don't have to depend on their children. They are able to afford a nurse coming in and caring for them so that their children, they can pay it forward and they don't have to draw on their children. They made sound decisions early on. And I think, we're, as a Black community, we need to get to that point, right? We're making really great decisions.
Well, the good thing is a lot of the people in this room are making good decisions.
Yes.
Like I know some of the students in here because I see a lot of y'all every single day. And I think that it's a myth to believe every Black person is being sloppy and irresponsible financially. That's just not true. Those are the stories that we see in the news. That's what's being highlighted. But there are so many people in this room that totally get it. and they're making really great decisions financially, better than white people, better than Jewish people, better than everybody, right? So I want to applaud those individuals that are doing that, that are thinking different, because I promise you it'll make a big difference for you. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and I'm gonna let you conclude, and or I'll say a couple things and then you can get the last word. I know you have another case study, but I kind of feel like that first one kind of gave me, my brain's kind of turned into concrete. So I kind
Is
of
it
want
really?
to end.
I have a
Oh,
case study about what is it about a business?
okay, all right, let me pull it
It's
up.
a startup.
I know you want to go through your case study. All right, so here we go. Case study two, merging money management in a startup partnership. Okay, so a lot of you, like I know Errol and his significant other, I know that they're doing business together and making money with, selling stock options and stuff like that. So this, maybe this will help you. So let me go. I'm gonna do this for Errol. All right, so case study number two. Merging money management in startup partnership. So the situation is Alex and Jordan, co-founders of a tech startup, quickly realized that aligning their money management styles was crucial for their business's success. Coming from different financial backgrounds, they had distinct views on spending, saving, and investing the company funds. This led to several disagreements about budgeting priorities, such as allocating funds for product development versus market initiatives. These disagreements threatened to stall the company's growth. Number one, how do the dynamics of trust and transparency in financial discussions impact the efficacy of collective financial planning? And what measures can be taken to strengthen this trust in the early stages of collaboration? Number two, in what ways can external factors influence the stability of a jointly agreed upon financial plan, and what preemptive steps can be taken to mitigate such risk without compromising the relationships involved? Okay, so how do the dynamics of trust and transparency impact the efficacy of collective financial planning, and what can they do to strengthen their trust in the early stages? So go ahead, Dr. Alicia. I'll let you take it away from there.
I'll take the first. Man, I think sometimes when you're in a business and you aren't able, and it's the beginning stages of getting to know each other, I think it'd be nice to invest in a third party advisor to come in and help mitigate some discussions. I think, um, and I think you should approach it as, listen, we both don't know for sure the right way to go. From my experiences, I think we need to go in this direction. Your experiences, you think we need to go in another direction. Let's get a third person in here to consult with us. I mean, there are people who hire business, what are they called? Business advisors, or what are those people who, there's people who have a whole career on helping people start businesses and
You
making
mean like consultants, basically?
consultants. You can bring people in who can look at your business and say, okay, here's where both of you all are right, but here's where you need to prioritize, right? And you have to be open for those types of conversations so that you can have mediate discussions. You want unbiased advice. And that will help, I think, in those situations. Do you have anything you want to say about, what would you say to these two people? They come to you, Boyce. I need
I,
to have.
I like what you say. I mean, I think that that there's this book that I have my whole team read called Traction, and in Traction they explain all the different ways you can structure an organization and make decisions, and kind of have some sort of order in terms of how you get things done, because you got to have order and you got to have the ability to focus. Just like you and I were having a meeting today, and I was explaining to the people we were talking to, I said there's like at least two types of business people. There are the people that talk about making money, and then there are the people that are really doing it. And the people that are really doing it, that group is probably 5 to 10% in my view. And then the other 90, 95% of people that are trying to make it, that are talking about what they're going to do and all that. And I said, one thing you'll notice is that the people that are really making the money, they tend to just be very efficient about how they do stuff. They don't waste time. At least that's been my experience. And like I can instantly see through, a bunch of yapping and talking, like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this and do that, right? And so when you're dealing with each other, you got to kind of really look at real life experience and really have an understanding of the difference between reality and theory. because theory will trick you every time. I can't tell you how many times my brother and I, when we started a business together, how many times we started doing something and we just on paper it looked like it was like a slam dunk. We're like, oh, this is gonna do great. This is gonna make so much money. It's gonna be awesome, and then it turned out to be a dud. So what happened was it made us very skeptical. We became very skeptical of things to the point where I don't believe if you tell me something's gonna make money, you can scream and holler and tap dance and do cartwheels and give me an amazing presentation, but I won't believe it's going to make money until you show me that it's making money. Right? And I would encourage everybody that dives into the new startup to just kind of understand that there is a way you kind of have to really think about who you're working with. Don't just form partnerships with just anybody really fast because what happens is it's a lot. It's really I compare it to sex versus having sex versus raising a baby. Right? Sex is very exciting. Sex is fun. You have a connection and you decide to get together and the sparks fly and everybody's smiling after it's over. But that's like a flash in the pan. That's a moment in time. You may not even remember that moment 5 or 10 years from now. Whereas sex, what is the purpose of sex? Well, theoretically, the purpose of sex is to procreate and make a child, right? And so maybe one out of every 1,000 times that you have sex, there's that one time where you do actually make a baby, and then you spend 18 years, 100, 200,000 hours of consistent effort pouring into that baby and raising that baby and making sure that baby survives so the baby hits the age of 18. So here's my point. Having sex does not make you a parent, and giving birth does not make you a parent. Raising a child all the way to the age of 18, there's a whole nother level that you've gone to that separates you from everyone else. And so while you might certainly be able to have sex thousands of times, you can't raise thousands of kids. And so inexperienced entrepreneurs, their big bang idea is they have 1,000 of them a mile a minute. They're always like, oh, we could do this and we could do this and we could do this. And you start vibing with somebody else. You're like, yeah, we can create a business like that. And we're going to call it this and call it that. That's the fun part. You're having sex. And then there's the time where you got to really do the work. And so because you have this great idea with somebody and you connected and vibed on this great idea, you might
See,
be tempted to make that person into a lifelong business partner without any understanding of what kind of partner that person is going to be. You don't know what kind of parent they're going to be. All you know is that they're good at sex. How often does that happen in the real world, right? So they're good at intellectual sex. So you form this idea, this baby of a business, and then you somehow take the baby all the way to the point where the baby's actually born. Maybe the baby starts to make a little bit of money, and then you're realizing in this process that you have a terrible co-parent who isn't equipped with the skill or the desire or the discipline to do all the work required to raise that baby to the age of 18. You basically have decided to try to run a marathon with a sprinter. That's what you did, right? So if you're gonna run a marathon, and that's what building a business really is, it's a marathon. This tiger behind me or panther behind me has been behind me for about 15 years of literally hundreds of thousands of hours of consistent work behind the Black Business School and Boyce Watkins Enterprises and everything else. And so when you're doing that marathon, make sure you tie yourself with another marathon runner so you're not running the marathon by yourself. Because if you don't, you're going to end up connecting with people that are not necessarily as good at the execution and the discipline and the hard work as they are at just coming up with great ideas. And great ideas are valuable, but that's not going to get you where you want to get to. The ideas mean almost nothing, to be honest with you, because an idea is basically the potential of something that if you pour into it for the next 12 years, it could turn into something, right? Right. But people don't see that. Like people who've never made any money, they're just like, oh, I got the idea. Next I'll be, it's like their checklist is come up with idea, make $1 million, right? There's nothing in between that, right? And that's just not how it works. So I'm done talking. Go ahead, babe.
actually, it reminds me of like what the Democratic Party tells Black people, we gonna do this together. Ride with me, vote for me, and we gonna do this together. And then
Yeah.
they get you there, and then you're like, what happened? We supposed to do all these great things together. They just you dried up. They
Yep.
don't do
Oh,
anything.
they'll sell you a dream in a minute.
That's the biggest mind control ever. And then you keep going into business with them. You keep trusting them, and they keep showing you. who they are.
Yeah, well, they're like baby daddies. They're bad baby daddies. They'll show up and get you pregnant and then abandon you, and then and then if the baby does actually grow up and become somebody, they'll show up at the graduation and say, "Look at what we did
All the
together."
prize.
So anyway, all right, so I would say I think I overtalked that point about partnerships and startups and all that, but I think if you do it right and you find the right people, it can become the most amazing experience ever. And that's one of the reasons why I invite you all to come to some of our events, because you do meet some solid people at the All Black National Convention that's going to be in Chicago, Illinois, in Lombard, right outside Chicago. It's going to be a nice, luxurious experience. The Westin is a beautiful hotel, but it's affordable. The rooms are only $150 a night. It is going to be basically 3 days of just a beautiful blackness and intelligence, positive energy. Everybody that comes to the convention always loves it. It's so much fun. And you're just around people that you can build with. And I think that, to me, it's like a real life Wakanda. Like I don't care about Disney's Wakanda. That belongs to Disney. I wanted to build a real life Wakanda where you have people that get together and it's real simple. Our goal is to love each other, to be healthy, and to get wealthy together. That's it. If you want black people to be wealthy, healthy, and have good relationships, then the All Black National Convention is for you, and it's a great place to find your next partner on any capacity. The URL, if you'd like to join us, is allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. Alicia, I'll let you get the last word, babe. Do you have anything else to say before we go?
No, enjoy our time together. I appreciate everything. You can get the recordings, right, boys? People can get the recordings.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the
Yeah,
URL on the screen.
URL.
If you go to theloveandmoneylab.com, theloveandmoneylab.com, you can get access to every single training that we've done. I'm gonna actually share, and I'm also gonna share Dr. Alicia's platform in case you want to meet with her directly and make an appointment or something like that. So theloveandmoneylab.com, you can go there and get access to all the trainings. There's a ton of material. If you and your partner want to really nail down how to merge your finances in a way that's going to work for you, you can go there to the loveandmoneylab.com. Use the code word BlackLove 2024, all one word, and it'll take a big chunk off the price. BlackLove 2024. Second of all, if you look here, if you text the word love to 87948, I will send you a free e-copy of my book, Financial Lovemaking. I wrote that book when I was on the faculty at Syracuse University. Hopefully, it can help you in understanding love and money and how they're connected. And then also, Alicia's website is coachingwithdralicia.com, and she's on Instagram at coachingwithdralicia. So if you go to coachingwithdralicia.com, you can set up an appointment and meet with her and talk to her about, she does relationship therapy. She works with individuals, couples, and families. So just know there's no drama that you can't overcome. Just get with some experts that can help you. And that's our goal, is to make your life as pleasant as possible. So without further ado, I'm going to say thank you, babe. It was an honor and a pleasure doing this class with you. It was fun. It's always fun working together. And also, tomorrow morning, don't forget, tomorrow morning, we're going to do financial consciousness training. We do that every day. So if you'd like to join us for financial consciousness training, just text the word morning, MORNING, morning to 87948. If you text morning to 87948, I'll send you an invitation. And then Wednesday night, we're going to show our movie, B1 the movie. And it's really, really good. We spent 3 years making this film, and we're going to do the world premiere on Wednesday night at 8:30 during our weekly Powernomics training. And to get an invitation to that, just text the word greatness to 87948. So in case you want to know how the system works, there's that number 87948, and I'll give you different text words that'll send you different kinds of information. That's how we operate our school. So that literally that text list and email and all that, that's like our building. And you get in the building, we're gonna just hit you with so much good stuff that you won't find anywhere else. There is no university doing what we're doing. There's no place on earth you can find a Black financial therapy department. There's no one on the planet anywhere that I've seen at any institution that is literally focusing on bringing together the best therapists to understand the psychological barriers to building Black wealth. Because through my research, I am definitive that our challenges are mostly psychological, cultural, and habit based. And if we can overcome these things, right, by thinking about what we're doing consciously on a day-to-day basis, That's going to be our key to black wealth. That's what's going to make us great. And I know this is going to work. So in fact, I don't believe it's going to work. It's already working. A lot of you already have been quitting your jobs. A lot of you already have higher incomes. Just ask anybody in the Prime program, drboyceprime.com. A lot of you have more money. You're paying bills now at a higher level than you ever could before because of some of the things we've been doing. And that's deliberate because we've been spending time sort of figuring out how we can help you get to that next level. So keep on pushing, keep on working. Don't give up on yourself. Believe in your family. Ain't no name more important than your family's name. And I want you to pour into that sucker like your life depended on it, because your grandkids are dependent on it. What you do today is going to affect their lives tomorrow. So I just want to encourage you 100%. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. God bless you. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. And thank you again, babe. I appreciate you. I love you. All right. All right. So have a good day, everybody. See you soon. Bye-bye.